Welcome, everybody, to Generation Dan, the only podcast that is about half as good at losing your virginity. I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino, the genetic marvel. I feel personally attacked. I don't know. That was a wild.
Sorry, I meant to say half as good as losing your virginity. Losing your virginity, not as.
Also, still, I feel like I come out on the short end of that statement. How are you, Atlas?
I'm good.
That's good. That's good. This week, we're talking about things that happened to us that we've never been the same afterward. Which I feel like there's not. Hey, what's up, Jim? How you doing? I feel like there are a lot of experiences in life that you don't realize the ramifications of the scenario until significantly not even once it's over, you're like, wow, that's gonna change me forever. It's like years later, you look back and you're like, I think that might have been a pivotal point.
Oh yeah, definitely. The amount of therapy I've gone through, there have been several times where I've been looking at a guy in his office and we've been talking to each other for 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's like a shatter point for my entire personality.
Yeah.
Like 12 times. It just keeps happening.
Yeah. This was the thing, I always look back and there are some statements that you learn growing up and stuff like cheaters never prosper.
Okay.
Hey, okay, no, that's the thing. Cheaters never prosper, and think about the truth always comes out. Okay.
That one is usually true, I think.
So interestingly enough, is the fact that I think one of the big components to cheaters never prosper is the idea that, well, if they've been a cheater their whole life and they seemed prosperous, know that they'll suffer for eternity in some place like hell, which of course isn't real. That's not even in the Bible. The idea of hell is made up. So let's start there. But the idea is I think about this is I was looking at really, really mean burns to people that don't involve swearing.
Interesting.
So one of them was your parents must change the subject when people ask about you. And you're like, oh, Jesus, that is aggressively mean. Right?
One of my students this week said, you look like you think salt is spicy. And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
My go-to when I'm just going to think, you kind of look like
Jason Kelsey. Who, me or him?
I think the answer is yes. It's
okay.
You know what I mean? I could bearded and scary looking. I got scary. You got a very colorful beard. Mine's just looks gray now. Mm-hmm. So
well, give it 10 years, I'm probably going to end up looking like you if my dad is any indication. Want to see more about my dad? Check out the Aspen Chronicles episodes.
I mean, are you guys? I'm assuming this says single.
Single.
I think I don't know. We should play Siege together. I mean, I don't know what Siege is, but sure.
That's my answer.
Are we Signal? Yeah, I'm doubly so. This one was the original. I had to remake it because I lost weight, which, if you know anything, losing weight keeps relationships going as opposed to the other way. That is scientific. Sigma. Are we Sigma? Oh, no. I'm a kid. Okay. Sigma. I'm Greek. I know what Sigma is, but I believe you're referencing the idea of Sigma males. Just so you know, if you're young, here's anyone who says I'm Sigma or Alpha, no, they're not. Just no, they're not. And I'm telling you this as a 6'3", 282-pound land monster that could rip off your arms. Trust me when someone says I'm Alpha. No, you're not.
Don't pull that next one up. Don't you dare. Don't touch it.
Nope. I mean, that's ridiculous that you would can I ask you a question, Big City 416? Do you feel like that's how you start a conversation? Because I'll tell you, this is a pivotal moment in your story. No one wants to start a conversation like that. And when you start a conversation like that, people tell their friends, stay away from that person. They have problems.
Please don't rip off my arms.
Please don't rip off. I mean, Beckett, hey, I appreciate your thoughtfulness and kindness in recognizing that. Why? Because I don't want to go around ripping people's arms, but I'll tell you, I'd happily take the job if it was employable. So
I love the idea of you going in for the arm rip and then just being like, well, you made me do this. I don't want to, but
I mean, I'm sorry, but there's gonna have to be pieces of you. So, walkies talkies are neat. Sigma, Skibbity, Ohio, negative aura are all words my 12-year-old says. I may have to put her in an asylum.
Probably.
Listen, so yeah, it's so weird. I've seen you at
Nope, don't.
no. Hey, the fact that you think that's a thing, that's big city 416. You got problems, bro. You just talk to somebody. And listen, the best part about this era that we're in is there are tons of people that you can pay that will just listen to you, and that will help you get through stuff.
Yes, like my therapist.
Beckett, you're awesome. Oopsies, I accidentally mangled you. I mean, listen, that I used to be much fatter, and I'll tell you, the times that I've said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of crushed you there," was surprisingly more than a few times.
Sorry, I accidentally made you the Black Knight from Monty Python.
I mean, yeah, here's but a scratch. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. See, this is the thing we're talking about, guys, is the idea of an experience. You never know the ramifications until significantly later in your life, right?
Right.
And that's why, like, okay, big city 416, you've hit twice with essentially things that if you said face to face, I'd drop you. Like, if you're like, I'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, we would have a problem, right? But you feel like being on the internet, you could just say whatever you want because there are no ramifications. But the ramifications aren't to us, they're to you. Your internal business gets messed up the more and more you think that this is okay. It's not okay. Your parents should have beat you as a child.
I love how fatherly this conversation was. Yeah, we are.
Y'all are crazy. I mean, scientifically, that's factual. Out of the three of us,
Jason
and by
Chelsea
three, I'm including
drop kick you, and it could be either one of us based on the conversation.
I'll have you know, I have been practicing being able to do a roundhouse. I've never really been able to do it because I was so fat. So, Beckett,
I was able to do it as a child, where like, did karate up until purple belt, whatever it was that allowed you to like break the board with your like. That was like the test, or like you got to break a board with your hand.
So, having known people who are have done martial arts like for quite some time, they're like, "Yo, whenever a board comes out, parents are coming or some shit like that because nobody gives a shit about it." And I'm just like, bro, I don't like. It's the funniest thing because I'm like, yeah, that's just someone spamming our chat with P Diddy. That's a weird choice of spam.
This is why we don't acknowledge every comment.
And just so you guys know, that's Atlas's. I would happily acknowledge your comment, and I'll tell you why you're a garbage person and why no one loves you. That's the difference. So we can do both. We can ignore you, or I can rip your soul out of your nostrils and make you explode.
Your soul out of your nostrils.
Mm-hmm.
Such a colorful way to describe it.
I mean, the Egyptians were onto something. A hot poker, go in there, jimmying around, and pull it all out. Can work,
Okay.
Anyways, so when do you? Okay, let's. So, if you go back through your life, right? Can you think of one of your first boom experiences?
I think it was when my parents told me they were getting divorced.
You were
10.
10.
So I had just gone to summer camp, and I came back, and I was like, "Man, that was fun." Now to go have the rest of my summer as a child. And then I woke up the next morning, and they're like, "Sit down." I'm like, "Oh, that can't be good." Like even when you're a kid, if somebody is giving you the like Chris Hansen, why don't you go take a seat right there? Like that, it's not going to be good.
No. And you know what? I'm a firm believer that a lot of people use that to try and insinuate the seriousness of a situation when 9 times out of 10 it's not that situation. it's one of those things. Oh yeah, I put that person who was spamming our thing in a timeout, and now they're like, oh, they've been banned and like comments removed. Everyone lost their. I guess
That's
YouTube
so
doesn't like
funny.
them either. See what I mean? That's how
Yeah.
it works, everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely. How does that fucking? I can only imagine how that. And was that with your parents? They sat you down and they were like, "Hey,
Yeah,
listen."
my parent both at the same time, and like I remember my dad's your mother and I are getting a divorce, and the way he said it was so boring.
Yeah.
Like it was such a big part. Don't suck my soul out. Get soul sucked out by Jason Kelsey.
I mean,
No, so like, or he's
I'm,
like, your
I'm
mother
now
and I,
putting that on my
yeah,
resume, just so
yeah.
everyone is aware. Yeah.
Your mother and I are getting divorced. He said it the same way as like I got you guys coffee, like that same.
Yeah.
Not your mother and I are getting a divorce single tier, or I understand this
Mm.
might be hard to believe, but he just kind of blanked it. And my mom was like on the verge of crying the whole time. So credit to her,
Yeah.
she was not the person who was like happy about it or like the marriage.
Yeah.
And I think she like tried to get him to do it
Yeah.
for her because he was able to kind of compartmentalize it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a weird flex. People who do that, they're like, I'm going to convince you to abandon the situation because I can't do it to you. And you're like, that's weird, but like realistically, it's a band-aid. You just gotta just rip it off. Right?
Oh no, definitely. And I understand, like, no matter how they did it, it would still be such a moment for me.
Especially at the age of 10 too, you have like this image of life, right? And it's whether good or bad, as a kid, you look at things differently. Beckett, Swaldo, the Packers just beat the Titans. Let's go. That's hey man.
Our
awesome.
Good friend Cole Clayton has an NFL show now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's doing it every today or yesterday, I forget. I think it's today.
Sundays,
I think it's today. And he talks with his mom, who looks like a linebacker.
Yeah.
But,
so
yeah.
Sniffing Glue 22 is who you're looking for.
Check it out
for that. I miss you, Cole. Come back. I missed last week.
Don't worry.
No.
How do you feel about the fact that your brother is dating? Like, in all honesty,
again, me or him.
I think he keeps on referring as Jason Kelch as the person who's ripping people's arms off. So I think it is.
Okay, so I think it is you then. And you actually have a brother. I have a half brother. That's it.
Yeah. Which is also, has he gotten a little bit better now? Is it good?
A little bit.
Good.
A little bit.
Like, listen, kids between the ages of like 9 and 13 are functionally insane, right? Like they don't. And then girls, I think, hit it from like 12 onward.
To anywhere between 16 and 20. Like
until after menopause, and then they kind of start to balance out a little bit. It's around then.
God, way to throw your own wife under the bus. So wait, what's like a moment of like that for you?
Like moment. One of the big ones was like when I was young and I got bullied. Mm-hmm. And like the way people would like my parents, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, hit him back, idiot. And I was like, you told me not to touch anyone, and I follow the orders of my, like, I have a very weird perspective on family where I'm like, there's, my dad is in charge, mom's second in command. You go to them for different purposes. You do not muddy those waters or you'll die. Right. And then siblings are at best friendly rivals. Like they're your enemy, but on the same team. That's basically what it is.
Probably it's you're against each other until there's a bigger threat, and then it's like fuck this. We're gonna deal with the other guy, or like no one picks on my brother but me, that kind of thing.
100%. And so that realizing that people weren't not honest, but they didn't always mean what they said, kind of came through. And it was like, oh, it's up to you to try and interpret what they say. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like and that was at the age of 11. And I was like, what are you talking about? And since then, like the next 3 years, so that was grade 6, 7, and 8 was in one school. I didn't have many friends. Like I had some friends, but I didn't really talk much and stuff like that. And I just found like I became an observer of human nature to try and understand how it works. Because when I hit grade 9, I hit the ground running because I was now in high school, and I had a brother who was 2 years older, and he would come home with his friends. So I knew them on lunches. Like if I was sick at home, I would meet them, or we would hang out and we'd go play basketball. And I was Tim's little brother. So I'm like, but the difference was that I was now 6'2", and right. So some of his friends tried to initiate me, and I laughed in their face because I didn't
jump him in, and it's like, yeah, fuck you.
I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then they hit me, and I'm like, is there more? Or can I go back to class? And they were like, fuck, and then walked away, right? So, like, that whole thing was like when I hit grade 9, I walked in exactly like I had pieced it all together where I was like, oh, no. I'm in charge of everything. So, hold on, let me answer this. Erwin, so this is
That's
a
Cole,
different
right?
show. Yeah, that was Cole.
Yeah.
We did a whole thing. So on Thursday, we're doing Wiener Apocalypse, which so everyone can watch it. It's going to be at 9 p.m. on my channel, Cole's channel, maybe
9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m.
Eastern time. Yeah. So he did not have a mixed stroke, but he will be live a little later today with his talking about football. Yeah. Baldy incels crying about nothing.
I don't get it.
Oh, clap cheeks. Do you not have the emotional depth to understand that you were not retarded? Oh, that's a poor thing. Listen, clap cheeks, just so you understand, you're a dipshit. Yeah. So when you deal with people, if you don't respect their emotions, so back in the day, they'll just come up behind you and throw an axe in the back of your head. Now we use words. I am new to words. I use them very well, but if I want to, I could just turn you in, like, you know, Stretch Armstrong, where he just goes, and you pull until his arms come off. I could do that. So think before you talk, because you're a little bit dumb. You should think twice. Think twice, respond third. Don't do the first two. Those are bad. Hi, Tyrannosaurus Rex Studios. That is an awesome name. Yeah. Just awesome.
I was a half sibling, the youngest. I got zero help with anything.
Right?
Here's the thing.
I get that.
This is something that I have a good amount of guilt for, almost. Where like I'm watching my family, like my dad remarried, and it's their kids. Okay, so I'm watching them go through the same messy turmoil that my sister and I went through, and I really, really want to help, but I also can't really get in the middle of it because it's okay. For one, I think I would have a nervous breakdown because if I had to then go back in there, A, and B, I don't know how much I can help. The only thing I've really done is I keep sending them messages every now and again being like, hey, I'm here if you need me. I live right over there, like near where my dad is. If you need emotional support, if things get a little hairy and you need somewhere to stay the night, I'm here.
Yeah.
Katie, my wife, is here. Please, we're here. And I've just gotten like a thumbs up emoji. I haven't really heard anything about it.
Okay, so this is a thing that I learned a little while ago, and I sent it to you. I sent it to everybody in the group. Was the whole idea is that studies have shown that, especially as men, we don't talk face to face. We talk in a line facing the problem. It's a weird thing. Yeah,
it's King of the Hill. They're in the fucking alley with the beer.
So it's the same thing where they had a bunch of men and they put them together, and then they put like one guy was changing his oil or he was trying to fix something in his car. So now everyone's looking at the problem, trying to help out with the problem. But then as we get into a system of everyone knows what they're doing, then people just start talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Which is good. And you know what, Erwin? Like that's the thing is when you have half siblings, like you and I both know that it's important to go through certain things, right? Because those offer you a lot of character development, because when you learn to resolve things on your own, you get to learn how to be self-sufficient. These are good things. Mm-hmm. The problem is not everyone has the same tools on how to handle things, right? So one of the things they said was that it is more beneficial during an emotionally critical situation not to talk about it, but to just be able to sit with someone in silence for 8 minutes will do more help for some people than ever having talked about it at all.
8 minutes?
8 minutes.
Why 8 minutes?
Like, I know I'm not the scientist, but this is,
I don't know. That just seems like a very strange
so
number. Okay.
But that's so they were talking about this with like a high intense sales environment with managers and stuff, and go, hey man, I need 8 minutes. And they're like, okay, just sit down. We don't have to talk about anything. Just sit down. It's the idea of being with someone. It's the same. Like, I'm assuming it's the same type of figuring out of like a hug for 15 seconds over 5 seconds. Like a 15-second hug will change someone's mood dramatically over the course of their day, whereas a 5-second like hey is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
But like an actual 15-second hug with someone you love can change your day from being dog shit and for no other reason. It's the same day, right? But it's your perspective. Whereas when you have that interaction with people, it will change how you deal with things. And I hate hugging people. Like, I absolutely hate it. But I'm like, it's an important part of life, right? And that's the thing. So with half siblings, especially, or when I totally understand that, where like even with full siblings, sometimes you're like, I just don't want to talk with that asshole because they punched me last time, right? Like, so like you don't know what's just being siblings and what's that like right now. So last year, a brother of mine who I was very close with growing up, he passed away because he basically never took care of his health. So like I've been on a health journey now for the last like 5 or 6 years, and I'm totally different. He never did. He didn't take meds. He didn't do anything, and it ended up killing him. And I'm like, yeah, but he was also a piece of shit. And when I talk to my family, I'm like, yeah, you guys lost a sibling. I lost a tormentor. That guy was a fucking asshole. And now it's slowly coming out that it's like, oh, he was a fucking asshole to a lot of people. And you're going, so
it always feels a little vindicating, doesn't it?
Right? Oh, I was happy he knew that I was thinner than him, and he would be always known as the fat one in our family. That's all. And also, I was funnier than him, which happened in front of another sibling and my mom. And my mom could not breathe because she was laughing so hard. And he was like, fine. And I was like, bitch. It was so, I felt so good afterward.
I'd rather hug a cactus than any of my half siblings. Well,
I know, Erwin.
I can understand that
100%. But you know what?
Like okay, wait.
Yeah.
You know, spiking on that. One time I was at my dad's house and hanging out with my two half siblings.
Yeah.
And I did the, you know, he's 10, right? And I'm like, hey, what's this over here? And he walks over the pool and I push him in. And he not only cursed me, he cursed my family, he cursed my children. He's 10 and he's like laying some eldritch horror curse. He's like, like his eyes are going red and like his hair's flying up. And then the mom, like my stepmom, came and kicked me out of the house. He's like, she said, like, don't come near him ever again. I'm like, I pushed him in the pool. He can swim. I got him out safely. I made sure there was nothing in his pockets.
Hey, like, you know what? Listen, okay, number one, I don't agree with you pushing him in the pool because I've been pushing the pool and I don't like it.
Me too. But
at the same time, it's funny as fuck. I hope that there's camera of it somewhere because let's be honest, that'd be awesome.
But like, I went back and apologized to him like a week or so later, and then he didn't accept it. And then I just kind of like, all right, he's 10.
Fine.
I'll just be like,
hey, and you know what? If you want to ruin his day, every time you see him, be like, hey, remember that time I threw you in the pool? And you just be like, nah! And you just go, eat my ass.
Like, I was the one on the bottom of the totem pole for so long, and I finally got my moment. So sorry.
Hey, I get it. Erwin, my tormenting sibling died in 2005. I mean, like 2015. Also, it is a little bittersweet, and also too, it's like, damn, they didn't get to suffer through the pandemic. It's too bad because you know what, you know, like my dad passed away in 2016, 17. I think it was 16. And I was like, thank God he didn't have to suffer with health problems and the pandemic. Like that would have been horrible. Yeah. But alternatively, like watching some people who are like, some people are dumb and they think that the entire government is like on their side.
Sure, that kid probably has a voodoo doll. I'm sure he does. I'll get like an angina pain or like something randomly, I'm like, it's him. He's probably like putting the pin in the heart or something. Anyway,
hey, at the same time, like that's if someday he'll be like, I think I overreacted, but he may not. He may be a piece of shit. You never know.
I'm sure he will, and like whatever. I think it's just part of being a kid is that you don't really know how to regulate your emotions and your relationships yet, so you're so quick to like, I hate you for all time, like,
oh yeah,
you know, all that thing. Like, relax.
And also, kids are obscenely mean.
Sure.
Without purpose, right? Like kids, I have said horrible things. I remember I was at a friend's house for like it might have been an engagement party for them, and I said publicly that I couldn't trust a woman who has shorter hair than her husband. This is what I said, and the mom of this couple had shorter hair, and she came around the corner like right when I said it, and I was like, at the same time, it was fucking hilarious.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like she came around. She's like, "I am going under chemo, right?"
Oh no. She just had short hair because she liked it short, and I'm like, whatever. You're a loser. Yeah. I'm working on a stop motion dinosaur film, and it's in the making, but it's a thunderstorm where I am in the bro. I love
how many UK fans we have. We have a lot of fans in the UK. It's pretty cool. Actually, since I just happen to remember this, like and subscribe to Generation Dan.
Please do.
If you wish to, it'll make us super happy. But so like that kind of all like fits into this last week where I teach English for people who don't know, and we were reading this essay about it. It was a kid who had their first like heartbreak during the Kennedy assassination. So like the Kennedy assassination is kind of going on in the background, and it's from the point of view of the kid, where she's like, I wanted to go to his house and we got let out early, and the coach was crying, but it didn't really like, you know,
that's so messed up.
Yeah. Like they're writing it as an adult, so they know why it's such a big deal, but like they're you know, couching it in like the kid point of view. So I showed this to my students, and I'm like, do you guys have any like core memories of something so all encompassing, right? Like some kind of like, what were you wearing? Where were you doing? For example, when the pandemic started, because they would have been in elementary school. And they're like, I remember like I got to school, I had a snack, and they were like, all right, we're going home for 2 weeks. It'll just be 2 weeks. And like just the kind of vibrant colors you get when a core memory is formed.
Yeah.
So like I tried to get them to like really reflect on that moment, because the Kennedy assassination was such a big moment for everybody at that particular time. There hadn't been an assassination since Abraham Lincoln, and seemingly it was by no one out of nowhere. It wasn't like someone going like Sic Semper Tyrannis, right? It's just Lee Harvey Oswald in a book depository, and like, who the fuck is that? I don't know. I remember exactly what I was doing and what I was wearing when 9/11 happened. Same. So I brought up 9/11 because that was my moment for millennials.
Yeah,
that's how I measure being a millennial. Were you in school during 9/11?
I was in college.
Yeah. So like you're kind of on the edge there, and that's, you know,
so
generations are a gradient. What?
The Challenger. Oh, the Challenger Shuttle disaster. I literally said, watch it blow up, and then
no.
Oh, bro.
You must have thought you were like magic for a split second, where you're like, watch it blow up.
No, that's when he's like, am I Spider-Man? Like, how did I? What did? Yeah, like, I was at York University going Italian class. I mean,
I was in 3rd grade, and it goes off. My teacher at the time was British.
Yeah,
she didn't quite get what it meant, where she's like, oh, it looked like the plane accident, and then they wheeled the TVs in because they're like, oh, I wonder what's going on, and then the second plane hit, and we were like, oh, this was on purpose.
Bro,
fuck.
Hold on. What's this? Can I have a shout out, please? What's up, Graceland? Comedy with a King.
Yes, you can, but please subscribe to Generation
tit for tit.
Yeah.
Can I? Yeah. You can't ask twice. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, do the things, watch for over a minute just so we can try and get this thing off the thing.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I am like a couple hundred hours away from being monetized on my channel, which is Dino the Genetic Marvel, which is in turn going to be reflective on everybody's stuff, like Cole's is right now. So thank you, Graceland, that you have subscribed. But check our channels, Dino the Genetic Marvel. If you want to do me a solid, just throw on my channel and just let it play whenever on mute. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just because the watch hours are a massive help to me, and I'm like this close, and then you could see me so much all the time.
The Genetic Marvel. It's either Atlas Novak or the Epileptic Comic on YouTube, and then together we are Generation Dan.
We appreciate it greatly.
Yeah.
This is where we talk about the differences of growing up and how it's affected us. And that's what we're talking about. So if you have your own personal example, like Erwin has chimed in, we appreciate it greatly.
Yeah.
We love talking about that stuff.
9/11 also, like, my school had uniforms. So our uniforms were these like gross gray polo shirts with the school's name on them. Like it was either gray or white and they were both terrible.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you have to go to this specific store to get these navy blue shorts or pants. And my mom was like, fuck that, we're going to Marshall's.
Yeah, of course.
They never checked. So
there's not even, if they don't, like, the idea that you can only buy it through their supplier when, like, that's a scam in and of itself. Unreasonable, right? Like, I remember how people were like, oh, if you don't if you didn't have the right outfit or anything, people will be angry. And they're like, perfect, what we're going to do is have uniforms. Okay. And then now it's like, oh, but you have to have a specific type of, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Black pants, top, go.
The thing, okay, so originally it was like you could only wear the school's like jackets or hoodies too. After about second or third grade, that started melting away because so many people would just be wearing like whatever zip up they had.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck it. So by the time I was in like fourth, fifth grade, people would start expressing themselves through the jacket because they were just like, whatever, it's fine.
But that's, hey, you know what?
Though, so.
It's not California. You know where that came from?
Yeah.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, sure.
He turned his jacket inside out and wore it inside out. And people were like, well, you can't do that because it's nowhere against the rules.
Yeah.
I have to wear the uniform, but I can wear it in my style.
That's the Air Bud principle. Nowhere that says a dog can't play basketball.
Same.
Yeah.
That's why, like, for me, like, I can only imagine how it would be for the challenger and then saying it. Like, I remember, so we had planned like a family vacation in Greece and we had overlapped our vacations. So like for 2 weeks, my dad's business was closed. I came back first because I had to go start school. Like I had started college.
Yeah.
But everyone else was in Greece. So on September 11th, like it was just before they were going to start coming back. The tower went down. And it was like,
all the airports closed. Yeah.
Well, not just all the airports. So the one brother who passed away, he had very dark skin. It runs in my mom's family. They suspect that her grandmother was of Indian descent, but we haven't verified any of it. So my brother was really dark skinned, and his wife has very light skin. They're both Canadian. So they go to the airport and they're like, we're married. And they're like, how do we know that? You're like, what do you mean? How? So from then on,
yeah. Like,
well, because the fact is, he had skin that made him look. He could have been Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
And so like, you're not going nowhere. And it was a whole thing. So they actually had like copies of their marriage certificate now that they kept in with their passports. And I'm like, wow. But I wore sweatpants and inside out t-shirt my entire. Let's be honest, sir. When you did that out of spite, and I respect it.
There are a good number of kids that'll wear like sweatpants or pajama pants. And last year, the principal was saying like, oh, we're going to put a stop to that. Fucking nothing. Like,
well,
I don't care personally, but it's just funny to see.
Like, this is the thing is when you see young kids wearing like expensive designer clothing, you're like, what are you on about? Like, the parent that does that, you're like, that's not a good parent.
Yeah,
they're
gonna grow out of it in like a year anyway. Like,
it's not even that, but you're setting a life expectation that is not only ridiculous and unreasonable, but you're making it so that child will immediately feel like a failure because their first job, they're not getting paid. They won't be able to afford that kind of stuff. It's the same idea where I'm like, I like I'm looking for work, but if someone's like, "Oh, we have a uniform," I'd be like, "That's not for me. No, thank you. Our future kids
Chat
are
is
going to be
going
good."
off today. That's
And I mean, yeah, Uniqlo, absolutely simple, non-invasive. Just boom, 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 boom. That's fine. No branding, no nothing. That's exactly the way I like it. I just bought a sweater, like a hoodie that's has the Caterpillar logo on it. And my wife was like, "Why?" And I'm like,
the
"Man,
very
like
hungry caterpillar. What
no,
caterpillar?
like the machinery, like manly
Oh,
machinery. Yeah,
oh, cool.
it
That's
is.
awesome.
See, that's why guys see them. They're like, "Fuck yeah!" And you're like, "I'm not that kind of man. I'm like,
If
I'm just gigantic. It's not."
if there is something that it's just something in guys' DNA, whether you're gay, straight, young, old, something about big fucking machines
It's
is
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Listen, so like I grew up around in a machine shop, right? So
Yeah.
like big machines, we built our own cranes and stuff. You're like, bro, we would weld. Okay, hilariously, there are entire channels dedicated to this. So they'll have like a industrial press, and it just presses down stuff that are like it's a bar
Anything.
of soap
Yeah.
or gummy worms, and it just squirts out everywhere, and it's wild.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, do you know how many times I had to fucking use our press? And we're talking that's 120 psi.
Yeah.
That stuff will not just smush things, it will atomize things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and we would be breaking steel stuff, and like just because that's what you use it for. And I'm just like, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, the amount of fucking content and cool shit I could have done.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was before the internet and we had talked about it, but it was like, I don't think people would love that. And it's like, oh, apparently everyone wants it. So,
it's the same kind of
yeah.
satisfaction you get from like people popping zits. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Pimple Popper, Dr.
Don't.
Pimple Popper is
Yeah.
on Instagram. It's an Asian lady who
I think she's on TV now, like network TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know, who watches network TV? That's gross.
Yeah.
Right? But like, yeah, I could watch that forever. And just like, and even for me, if I get like a big zit or something, I'm like, I will just carve at it until it bleeds. And I'm just like, yeah.
I need to go to the mirror and like see it. If it either makes a sound or hits the mirror, I'm like, that's a good one.
Okay. According to your mem, Sigma is referring to a supposed classification of men who are successful. Sorry, I'm just reading.
You looked it up?
No, my wife did, and then she just messaged me.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a dermatologist, and it's insane. I love, like, this is the problem is me and my wife also watch cooking shows. So whenever we see somebody who adds nuts and then they don't roast the nuts, you're like, roast your nuts, idiot. You always roast your nuts. And it's like, season your flour. Why are you so stupid? And as soon as somebody brings out almond extract, you're like, well, they're out. You can't use almond extract. Everyone knows it's gonna suck shit, you loser.
Yeah.
My brother was
roast your nuts is on the same level of pay your mercenaries. It's like it's never not the right answer.
No,
you know?
No. Bro, doing it in front of the mirror and not cleaning, he was a monster. Yeah, that's that your brother was a monster. That's fair. That's fair. Is that a guy thing? I feel like us girls use it stickers. Yeah, it's because
is that the one where they're like little circles? Because I see a lot of my students with them, and I was wondering what they were.
I don't think they work. Well,
I remember the blackhead thing where like you do it on your nose.
Biore strips.
Yeah, that shit was the good stuff. I think another like big I was never the same again moment was for sure. I think I gotta go with, and this is the case for literally everyone, losing your virginity. Right? In your case, you waited till marriage and you got to have a planned bed, and it's it's after your marriage, you've gotten married, it's part of the ceremony, kind of like not the literal ceremony, but it's part of the night, part of the the benefits of the night. Most people who are not like Mormon or somebody saving for themselves for marriage.
I'm not Mormon, but go on. Yeah.
Okay. Or it was.
I was Jehovah's Witness. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So when they plan to lose their virginity, it's always like a scramble. It's never like, oh, I'm going to put rose petals on the bed. No, the parents are down the street at the pharmacy. Let's make it happen on the twin bed.
I remember when I lost my virginity. It was consensual, and I was there.
Good for you. Good.
Those are the two key components. See, this is the problem. Like, from my perspective, I love bringing up that I'm like, I saved myself for marriage. I'll admit there wasn't, a significant lineup, but I steadfast and was victorious. Hilariously, though, when people are like, when I hear people are like, "Oh, I lost my virginity when I was 15," I'm like, "How is it being a whore?" And all that's to men, and they're just like, "I'm not." I'm like, "Oh, you're definitely a whore."
I was 19, and
19.
it was during my gap year in my car. And don't do it in a car. They made it like something about Greece and just pop culture. Or like, oh, we're gonna go out to make out point or whatever, and it's cramped. Your feet are bumping up against the glove compartment. Your elbows are hitting the door. There's no move to was victorious. Is that a pun? You know it wasn't Victoria. He hates puns.
Yeah, I do with every fiber of my being. Yeah,
and I love them, which is
I know
so fun as a duo. But yeah, it's never fun in hindsight because you're like, "Yay, I lost my virginity" in the moment, and then afterward, you're like, "That was cramped and kind of weird and gross, and like I kind of wish I did this in an actual bed or something." Yeah.
This is. I imagine Dino losing his virginity in a smart car or Fiat 500. I mean, listen. One of
wildly racist. Like,
I mean, no. It's the hilariously is the idea. Like one of my life changing events was realizing how much I don't fit in places. Was my nephew or my cousin? Sorry, my cousin who's like an actual doctor. He's like 4'10", and his wife is like 4'10", and their kid is very small too. Is wild.
So
but they have
the good thing is he doesn't need a car seat because, as we all know, 4'9" is the magic number.
Hey, hilariously, is he has the Fiat 500, like an old school Fiat 500. Okay, and it's convertible or cabriolet, as they say, and that's their day-to-day driver. But he's a doctor, so he's wealthy, and to show off, he has like an old, gigantic, like Mercedes 600 SEL diesel. It's a massive, like, and it's like from the 90s. It's ridiculously large, and I'm like, you can't fucking drive that, bro.
Yeah.
He's like,
after catalytic converters, before the electric car, and like all that hybrids and all that stuff. Nice.
Yeah. So we're talking like this thing is, but like you're like you see it, and you're like, that's a fucking car.
Yeah.
But you're like, you can't drive that. So he took me out for a drive once. We had the leather top was back because a cabriolet, it doesn't automatically go back. It just folds. Like it's a leather thing that like snaps on. It's ridiculous. But I'm sitting in the passenger seat. He's driving. My hand is going across his chest, holding onto his door. Okay. My shoulder is out of the window and holding onto the outside of the car. And I can see the road from outside of the car because my head is through the roof. Like Flintstones level, like head through the roof.
They're gonna put the babies on top of you. Yeah.
100%. And it's
literally Dino.
It was 100%. I'm glad you connected it. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
And he was driving. We were going through like farmers fields and stuff. And I'm like, bro, if you hit a low branch, I'm losing the top of my head. Like, there was nothing. A couple of times I was like, we pulled up, and my dad was sitting at his sister's gas station. We pulled up, and he's like, "How did you get in there?" I'm like, "I'm more worried about how I'm going to get out." That's basically.
My feet are my knees are inside the glove compartment. There is vibration stuck to my knee,
and I was still like quite fat. Yeah, that's okay. Hold on, Erwin. I had no plans to lose my virginity. I pulled some guy from the water who fell off a boat, and a nurse was there and took me to her house. And damn. So hey, you know what?
Oh no, that's impressive.
Here's a question, Erwin. How much talking did you do? Because I have a theory: is women will swoon, as this is, for your heroic gesture, but every word you utter makes it less and less of a chance of her, going the distance.
Yeah, there are some moments where you literally should talk less, smile more. Yeah,
I know. There are all situations. Talk less, men. Just trust me. It's strong, stoic, silent. It works wonders. Zaragoza in my own Jeep. I mean, I hope you weren't alone, but also too. You guys aren't virgins. Y'all
God bless you, Cole.
I lost my virginity in a motorcycle sidecar. Beat that. Jesus.
Now I'm just trying to wonder, like, what goes where? How big is a motorcycle sidecar? I thought it was like one person.
I mean,
was it while the motorcycle was moving? I have many questions.
I mean, just like, yeah, the signs of it. That's not the body part
very
you're
little
supposed to
convo.
put in her glove compartment, bro. Yeah. Very little convo. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I'm a firm believer is that the more men talk, the less chance they have of sealing the deal.
The only like words out of your mouth are you okay with this? Great. Let's go. Like, yeah. It was Indiana Jones' sidecar while she was screaming.
Junior. Yeah.
Which Indiana Jones was that? Wait, Indiana Jones.
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade. Okay.
Yeah.
At that temple.
Hilariously with Sean Connery and Harrison Ford, and they had like 4 years age difference. Like, it was ridiculous. We were like, no one will believe that. And like, everyone.
Sean Connery knows how to look old when he needs to. Because
I mean,
except when he's boning your mother, Trebek.
Yeah. Oh God. There's nothing.
I miss Celebrity Jeopardy.
100%. So, and you know what? For a while, they had Black Jeopardy, which was also hilarious on Saturday Night Live. But it's Saturday Night Live. As soon as it's funny, they're like, "Don't do that again. How dare you be funny?"
Or like when they do bring it back, it's been a few years. You have time to forget about it. That kind of thing. I'd rather walk than get in the back seats of anyone's car. Please do disgusting. Yeah, people do disgusting, notorious things in the back.
Yeah. Like, having had back seats my entire time of having cars. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Grinder is crazy. Sean Connery looks pretty old these days. I mean, he looks like the guy from The Last Crusade that was,
Wait, who was the guy who was playing Connery on the Daryl Hannah, right? Playing Sean Connery in the Celebrity Jeopardy sketches. Connery is dead.
Yeah, Connery is dead. That's why he looks so old.
Yes,
that's why he looks old. Erwin, come on, you are doing really good, Erwin. Don't fucking
don't ruin it for yourself.
Yeah, don't ruin it for yourself. Talk less. See, once again, it's all right. Anytime we think we have the upper hand,
Okay, so I guess like maybe a more recent example of something that definitely like had a big impact.
You got married. That's huge.
Yeah, but I think the parts of Katie and I's relationship had more impact on me than the actual
Daryl Hammond. That's what it is.
Hammond, gotcha. Than the actual ceremony itself. Because I'll always have a recording of me proposing to her because
which is
her co-teacher had the foresight to like turn her phone camera on. So now I have that. I can show that to her kids or whoever else. But I think the thing that probably had the biggest impact was her telling me to give teaching a try. And I'm not saying that because like, I'm a teacher. I mean, like the pandemic combined with that question that she just kind of floated. She wasn't saying become a teacher. She goes, why don't you give it a try?
Yeah.
Was that it caused me to reevaluate how I was dealing with stand-up and with content creation and like being able to be in a job where I'm like, this is one of those things that they put with like, doctors and firefighters. No one's like teachers are shitty people. It's like unequivocally a good thing to do for society.
So I would argue with that. Just saying that like everyone that teachers teach doesn't like them, but everyone whose kids they're teaching is like, fuck yeah, teachers, just because they don't have to teach their kids anymore. Probably so not, I don't like listen, they're not as bad as cops, but they're not firefighters. Let's calm down, right? Like they're EMT level where you're going, they mostly do good. Some of them are weirdos. That's fine. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Daryl Hannah was a mermaid.
There's no ATAB. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I don't know what that means.
So all cops are bastards. ACAB. So ATAB.
Oh yeah,
bastards. Yeah.
So only to students have that. Students are like,
she's
a piece of shit, but they're students. They don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, but they're like, well, you were on your phone the whole class, and you brought a M80 into the bathroom, so
I mean, that sounds like a really cool kid. We should hang out, smoke a joint. I think it'll be good. But yeah, at the same time, you're going, that's not a good result.
So
yeah.
that, along with where like stand up, I started to treat it more like a hobby. It made it so that it felt a lot less toxic to me, because I feel like if it was this relentless chasing of a dragon that I could probably never attain, of like making a career out of comedy, but I can still enjoy it and still do shows and still travel for it. And while also having something that is 99% good for society. Then I think that she made a huge impact off of such an innocuous question. I don't remember what I was wearing or when she asked me to, but I, remember thinking about it and then going through the steps and realizing, oh, this is, good.
And you know what? Like that's also a big thing. Was like, I remember when I had lost my job and like I was way depressed and everything like that. And Victoria was like, "You always said about doing stand-up comedy. Why don't you go try, book something?" And I did, and that ship sailed from there, right? So it was like it's funny how those words can always have a different effect on people, right? And that's one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't understand, is that if you take the time to live in the present, like this is something that I've really tried doing, is because you're like, if you are wrapped up in the past, then you're missing what's happening right now. And if you keep on thinking about the future, you're also missing what's happening right now. So it's like you need to have important ideas of things you want to achieve, but at the same time you have to make sure that you're enjoying or participating in your daily existence to a degree that you are a factor in it. Like if you're a passenger in your life, that when you realize it, it's great, but then you're going, oh my god, I've missed so much, right? And that's hard, right? Like even for me, I'm a lot thinner right now, and I'm like, man, I wish I lost more weight when I was thinner, because I probably have more hair. The ship has sailed regardless. So all I can do is go, hey, at least I'm getting healthy and trying to make the best of a situation, right? Like, you know what I did the other day, and this was a really pivotal moment, and I was so happy to share it, was I got up off the ground without using my hands. And I'm like, I know that people think that that's not a big deal. For someone who used to be over 500 pounds, it's a gigantic deal. And like, I did it no hands. I was sitting on my ass on the ground, cross-legged, and I was able to get up with ease. And it was like my knees didn't go pop, 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 pop like they normally do. It was a monumental thing. And I was like, you know what? That's a milestone for me and where I am in my existence. And then Cole made me weigh in for Wienerpocalypse, and I ended up realizing I'm 282 pounds, which I'm like, a little fat, but I am also like, I'm starting to build a lot more muscle and lose fat, so it's good. For someone who used to be 500 pounds, getting up is a big deal. I mean, period. That's fair. If I brought my past psyche into the present, all I would do is spend my time running busloads of nuns. I mean, people might appreciate it. Nuns are pretty bad. They're kind of the police of everything, but that's fine. Yeah, that's reasonable, Erwin. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of the big things that people need to start appreciating, is that as much plans and how important it is to go through your experiences and learn from them. Like when I think about like looking at the past, I always try and remember what impact it was and how am I using it to my advantage, right? Because if you don't use your past as a learning experience, then you just suffered for nothing, right?
Yep. And then you show up in people's live streams and type the same thing over and over, and then we have to block you.
I mean, that's also true. Cool. This is okay. Yeah, I weighed in at 268. So yesterday it was 275, and then he had a massive dump, and now he's 268. Which, the problem is you're still going to eat, so you're 275, Patso.
Is he really? He can't be that much, is he?
Yeah. Well, he's you met him, so he's like an inch, maybe an inch taller than you, ish.
Yeah.
Like you're very close.
Yeah.
In height. But he's also like a lot girthier around the midsection. And by midsection, I don't mean his wiener. I mean his big fat belly. But in the meantime, listen, everyone, make sure.
Yeah. Tune into Wiener Apocalypse
Wiener Apocalypse.
Thursday, September.
Number one, there's this show, Generation Dan, where it's Atlas and me. Then we have Mondays, which is Kyle and I do Life of Giants, which may be on hiatus because he's working and then I'm working too. And then Tuesday, our big show is Hammered and Cheese, which we have guest regular, which is Cole and I. Cole cooks. I make fun of everything. He also gets drunk, so we are waiting for him to chop off a finger. Zaragoza, I weigh so much, 260. Depends on how tall you are, Zaragoza. That's the real question. If you are 5'5" at 260, you are too fat. I will tell you that much. I ate 2.5 cheeseburgers and 6 beers before that weigh-in. I mean, this morning's? No. So calm down. Also girthy around the wiener section. Yeah, his girls call him tuna can, everyone. That's why. Because he's not deep, but he's got that girth. Zaragoza at 5'8" and 260. Hey. Call me, message me. I'll help you out. I got you. Got you. Okay. Remember, over 5 bills, and now I'm 282. Right. I was down to 250, but I wasn't happy with my thing.
Tip: 4 things you and Cole should have every day. Garlic powder is okay. Cinnamon, 6 raw, unsalted. We just said about roasting the almonds.
Always
we just talked about this.
Always roast your nuts. How dare you? So just so you know, Erwin. So garlic powder. I'm Greek. I mad amounts of garlic. What I do is I do apple cider vinegar in water, a tablespoonful. Then I do a lemon water, which is like a couple slices of lemon squeezed into warm water.
I've been doing that.
Those are my catalysts for the day.
Yeah.
Then I do a lot more protein, vegetables. I stay away from bread, and my big thing is sugar. Sugar is basically the devil. If anyone doesn't realize this, just so you know, like when you go through
it's really hard to avoid sugar if you live in the US. It's everything.
So, and this is what it gets down to is like the big actual helping thing is avoid sugar and processed foods. You like night and day. And remember this is one of the big things is if bread lasts more than 3 days, you are not eating bread. You are eating fluffy chemicals, and while delicious, are not healthy for you in any way, shape, or form.
Okay? It's good about keeping you through World War II, but afterward, it's just disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. And listen,
that voice that just like screams that era of
it basically. Yeah. There goes. Don't listen to Dino. His secret is anorexia. Yeah. I'll call after college because this is probably impossible for me to do any sort of healthy activities that isn't me walking around on campus. Bro, walking is one of the best things you do. Hey, if you ain't studying, walking. That's fine. Just do laps.
Yeah.
If you can, read while you're on laps.
Yeah, like a bunch of the teachers like will just kind of take a round on the campus, and like that's how we get our exercise.
So
I'm putting fluffy chemicals on my band name list, by the way.
100%.
Thanks, Victoria.
Yeah, fluffy chemicals, they are delicious. Zaragoza. So this is the thing: is to avoid sugar. All you have to do is just limit yourself to certain things because sugar isn't necessarily bad, but if you can have honey instead, is much better because that's better for a lot of different reasons. Because honey is very good for you.
Yeah.
Number 2
Although
is
it never dies or it never goes bad,
right?
Much like
which is
chemicals, but it's natural.
But honey is actually like even on like if you do a mild carnivore diet, you can have honey because it's produced by an animal. It's fine, right? It's one of those things where honey. But honey isn't still sugar. It's not. So your body doesn't treat it the same way, and you don't need as much. But it works as a different component. So it's like it's really worth investigating. But like you can give up sugar if you replace it with honey, and then giving up honey to get rid of all sweeteners is a lot easier than you think.
I think the idea there is that like because processed sugar is already processed, your body doesn't go through the process of breaking it down, which means that that's what gets stored as fat. So honey, your body has to like make more of an effort to break that down into glucose. This is based off of like Biology 10 from over a decade ago. So take that with a grain of salt, not sugar.
So it may have actually been accurate, let's be honest, because right now everything's backwards in science. So even stevia. So stevia and aspartame and things like that, while won't spike things like insulin, will feed the bacteria in your intestinal biome that make you hunger for things like bread, sugar, and processed things. So those dividers are big things, and that's why like honey is a big help, because you get the sweet, but you can't have a bunch of honey in your coffee. No, you can have a little bit of honey and you're fine, right? So you kind of, it forces you to do stuff. And the thing I listed are
sugar is basically crack, but slower. Like it makes you want more of it, and it fucks up your teeth.
Those things that's true, Erwin. Those are very good for your your digestion and congestion, inflammatory. Me, I'm currently fighting a sinus infection, so that's awesome. But I'm hoping I'm almost through my antibiotics. Should be good. But why
don't we end the episode with one last major like shatter point from each of us before we head out?
I could tell one was when I was going through my the divorce of my first wife. My father, 3 brothers, and my brother-in-law all gave me the worst possible advice. And I listened to them, and everything collapsed. And it was the first time where I was like, not only am I alone, I'm out. And I shut it all down. And you know what? It was the first time where I stood up for myself as like, it was not just the I am Spartacus. No. It's just me, and I'll fight the fuck out of you. And it was a very rewarding experience.
So it's that first time where even though they might have had your best interest at heart, they were just wrong.
Hey, and you know what? I was right. I was right the whole time. And you know what? I've told them now, and they're like, well, how would we know? Then why are you giving advice? People will give you advice and have no fucking idea what they're talking about. So
I think some people think that giving advice is the way to offer emotional support, especially men. Men have this thing where in our head, fixing the thing is the same as being there for someone. And sometimes it is, but like
sometimes.
For the most part, that's why we get the thing where, you know, like your wife comes home or your girlfriend or whatever, and is like, I had a really bad day, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, you should do this. And it like pisses them off because all they wanted to do was just get it off their chest. They didn't need the.
Also, remember, that's because they're crazy. It's not.
Oh, Christ.
It's venting is insane. You all have to suffer from it. I understand. Still crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you want to give me a problem and not a solution? Why don't you want a solution? Who in their right mind is like, no, I don't need a solution. I just need to talk about it. That's crazy. But anyways, what was yours?
That's therapy. So, deadass, some people can't even fathom the situation you're in and still will give you advice. Cole is correct.
Oh, 100%. I love that. And sometimes it's better to say, that sucks. Hey, to quote Zuko, that's rough, buddy. That's it.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest sayings ever. That's rough, buddy.
So the person I dated through like all of college sans the last semester.
Yeah.
We were together the entire time. And that senior year, as we started thinking about what's going to happen to us after college, right?
Yeah.
She decided to join a sorority. Now, the entire time I was very anti-fraternity, anti-sorority, because I saw what like kind of toxic shit they would do, especially to the guys. So I was really wary of them. And against what I was saying, like she had a good time for the most part. Like it like gave her a community and stuff. But I felt lonely because she would be off doing stuff with them most of the time. So I entered an emotional affair not knowing what it was at the time, but I still did it. It is still my fault. I did that. And that, despite being an accident, was my fault.
Yeah.
So the relationship fell apart around like March. Ooh. And it happened where like one night she called me while she was at a party drunk and broke up with me over voicemail.
Oh, that's nice.
So when I woke up in the morning and like checked the voicemail, I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. Like the writing had been on the wall by that point.
Sure.
But I called her back and I was like, so I guess that's it. And she's like, wait, no, we can salvage it. I'm like, look, you know, truth serum.
Yeah.
You were gonna do that. And like that was such a big moment for me because it was kind of the first relationship where one, I had been the one to end it, like fully go, okay, we're not gonna even try. A and B, I was not angry at her. I was sad that it was ending. And like acknowledge that it's my fault, kind of.
Yeah.
So just it was a major point of growth for me, I think. And afterward, I became the biggest man whore in the universe for the last half of college. Everybody who I remotely found attractive, I either went out with or slept with. And that was the end of college for me.
Yeah.
But you know who you are if like I highly doubt you listen to the show, but wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. And their birthday was recently. Happy birthday. So
look, my honestly, my opinion on that, like realistically, when like your first breakup is a monumental thing because no one wants it to end. But at the same time, you can tell that it's horrible, right? And it's a hard thing to go through, but for sure, I can only imagine the ramifications of that. And also, and then you hold it up. Comfort or solution, we don't always need to solve it. Every problem needs to be solved. That's why we fight about it constantly. Men call venting without solutions and just bitching, which, yeah, I just need to bitch about something. Okay, bitch about it. But
there's nothing wrong with bitching, I don't think.
No, but think about it this way. If I'm a race car driver, some would say that I race everywhere. If I bitch about everything, some people might describe me with a certain word that is definitely not what ladies like being called.
Just something talk less or whatever.
Yeah,
just like pick your moments, right?
100%.
I once got charged with slapping a blind guy. Turns out I just sniffed too much wet. Joey, go home.
I mean, we're going to tell your wife on you, Joey.
Atlas being a man in college.
Needs to be an age. Oh, 100%. Can you imagine? That'd be the equivalent of that show Barry, where you have what's his face as a murderer, which you're like, that guy's not a murderer.
Yeah, that's definitely what. Like you are way too pudgy to be a man whore. Like,
yeah, but hey, ladies love it. When I hear Atlas in college, I still think of the picture when he wears a hula skirt on skin.
Oh yeah, you know about that, right?
I do.
Okay. All right, audience. For people who don't know, I'd use it to promote my student org. I'd put on a grass skirt and roller skates and would go around campus with flyers. It's hard to miss.
I mean,
yeah,
that's fair. Anyways, everyone, thank you very much for participating in this conversation. I think it was very beneficial. We very much had a good time. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Tell them if you don't watch this, like send it to them like one of those old chainmail things. It's like, hey, if you don't send this to 10 of your friends, everyone might die. It's one of those things, something like that.
Oh, and by the way, if you were in the audience today and you liked what we were talking about, if you have ideas for future Generation Dan episodes, based on like a generational standpoint, we always read the comments. So we're listening.
In the meantime, check out Hammered and Cheese on Tuesday, Wiener Apocalypse on September 26th. It's going to be wild. If you follow me on Instagram or even here on YouTube, I am doing shorts that are retaliations to Cole.
Because him sending them back and forth.
Yeah, because he's basically he thinks that he can eat as many hot dogs as I can, which I'm like, bro, I'm Greek. I think you're the favorite. I love the wieners.
You're the favorite, for sure.
It's everyone who has who isn't completely blind is like, clearly we know what's gonna happen.
You're the Ivan Drago in this situation, and whether he turns out to be the Rocky, we'll see.
He may be Apollo. Who knows? Yeah. It's a scary thing. But anyways, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, everyone.
Bye, everyone.